So, what was the missing ingredient in food? And we talked last time about the kingdoms of Ghana and Mali in Africa, but one crucial food was missing from the region. It was something necessary for life, something you can find today in almost everything that we eat, but something you only need about a teaspoon of, but without it, and if you don't have it at all, you'll die. The people of Ghana and Mali were willing to trade their most precious goods for this item. If you guessed salt, you're correct. So, the salt trade. Salt is necessary for life, yet in kingdoms that don't have any salt, they were going to seek and try to find it. So, salt is mined in the Sahara and is found there because at one time, thousands of years ago, the Sahara had been an ocean. So, in the times of ancient Ghana and Mali, slaves lived in the desert. And mining salt in the brutal heat, they're going to provide it to the kingdoms that don't have any. So these camel caravans would carry the salt slabs to people in the south. The Berbers from the Sahara and North Africa controlled the salt trade. What might the kings of Ghana and Mali have offered to sell them in exchange for this life-giving salt? Well, if you answered gold, then you also answered that correctly. So both kingdoms sold a variety of goods for salt. Most famously and frequently traded was gold. And though crops and copper also formed part of this trade, gold was the most precious mineral of both Ghana and Mali. And gold is valuable because it's rare. For centuries, it served as a currency in most parts of the world, and gold is desired because it's pretty. We use it to make jewelry, royal scepters, crowns, golden domes atop important buildings, and much more. And the word gold is almost synonymous with what we think of as wealth and power and prestige. And so, if you think of the things that we find precious and objects that are associated with gold, we think of like Olympic medals and golden gloves and boxing and Golden Academy Award statues, not to mention a gold wedding band. So things that are precious to us and hold value. And the gold of West Africa was found not within the kingdoms, but to the south of them, in the forest region. And Ghana and Mali's wealth came from their ability to control the trade in gold. And these two kingdoms were in the right location to control and take advantage of this important resource. The kings controlled the trade, buying the gold from the forest people to the south and using some of it within their own kingdoms. And the rest of the gold is going to go north across the Sahara. Here again, geography helps explain wealth. Remember Al-Faki's statement about how and where gold grows? Here it is again. Gold grows in the sand like carrots do and is plucked at sunrise. And so they're going to have this idea that gold comes from this desert region. So Ghana and Mali and the Berbers of the Sahara were not alone in wanting gold. Europe needed gold and was eager to buy it from West Africa. What did Europe need the gold for? Well, think back to the European Middle Ages and remember the artwork of the time and place, where gold halos adorned angels in paintings and golden domes atop some churches. Artists and architects wanted gold to beautify their works, especially religious works. That, if you notice the use of gold in this painting here, European merchants had a more practical reason for needing West African gold. They need it as a currency to pay for the goods that they're buying from the Middle East. Gold was an agreed upon way to pay for goods, and if a merchant didn't have gold, he was likely to be cut out of trade. West Africa was a source of the gold, both for Europeans and for people of the Middle East. And the coins in the European Middle Ages might be called Florentines after the city of Florence, or they might be called doubloons as they were in England. But whatever their names, all of it came from West Africa. And so the gold trade was crucial for the economies of the three regions, West Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. And these regions were interconnected because of this gold trade. And so we here see the triangular shape here of the trade, and this was the gold salt trade. And they're going to trade with each other, they're going to learn from each other, and the Mediterranean Sea was what brought them all together. So how valuable was this gold? Well, this gold was highly sought after and valuable. And in fact, as far back as 700 AD, Ghana exported a ton of gold each year to the Mediterranean region. Later, the tonnage rose much higher. Elmina was built by the Portuguese in 1482, and during the 16th through the 19th centuries, Elmina was a major slaveholding location. Slaves were brought from inland regions and kept in the fort to transport across the Atlantic. Today, Elmina Castle is a World Heritage Monument, and many African Americans visit it as part of kind of uncovering their African roots. So, looking at these trade routes, the Sahara is the world's largest desert. Many think of it as a barrier separating North Africa from its lands to the south. And during this period of the two kingdoms, the Sahara proved to be a passage between North and West Africa. The Sahara has been described by some as an ocean with the lands of North and West Africa as its shores, and the word Sahel, literally meaning shore in Arabic, is used as a common geographic term for the inland region of West Africa, which is just south of the ocean of the Sahara Desert. The Savannah is to the south of the Sahel. What then were the ships that carried the trade across this ocean between North and West Africa? Well, the ships were the camels. They were animals that were perfectly suited for such difficult travel. Famous for their ability to walk long distances with little water. They have other desert crossing features. They have wide hooves that don't sink in the sand, long eyelashes that keep blowing sands from blinding them. And finally, they can comfortably carry people and goods. So, what were the ports on the Sahara Ocean? Well, the cities that dotted the northern and southern sides, with such names as Gao, Jin, and Timbuktu to the south, each of these places can still be visited today. And the northern ports were Tunis, Marrakech, and Fez, and others, all of which remain cities today. Here's an illustration of the ships, or the caravans, arriving at the port of Timbuktu. So, Ghana and Mali traded goods long distances to people and states to their north and south. Besides gold, the kingdoms sold copper, iron, ivory, animals, hides, dates, and slaves to the north. And to the south, they sold copper as well as cereal grains, salt, and other goods. And from the north, including Europe and the Middle East, they purchased manufactured goods such as knives, silks, velvet, jewelry, carpets, and perfume, as well as prized horses that were important in the king's armies. Overall, the trade included both luxury goods that were destined for the nobles and the kings, as well as affordable or necessary items for the ordinary people. So each region or zone in West Africa, North Africa, Europe, and the Middle East had something valuable to the people in other areas, hence its stake in this trade. So looking at the geography, the land was fertile along the Niger River, making it possible for people to specialize in different work. With specialization, people become artists, musicians, builders, scholars, religious leaders, and more, and the king could feed and clothe a standing army and offer gifts to those who gave him loyalty. The territory of both kingdoms includes several vegetation zones, and because of this variety in vegetation zones, the kingdom could grow a greater assortment of foods and take part in agricultural trade, which made people of the kingdoms healthier and wealthier. And the location of Ghana and Mali made it possible for them to trade in valuable minerals, such as gold, copper, and salt. And with these minerals, the kingdom grew in its wealth. So let's look at some discussion questions. Ghana and Mali produced good crops of sorghum, rice, and yams. They raised plenty of cattle and horses, but their lack of salt was a major challenge. One of these empires dealt with through long-distance trade. Why was it salt that forced these empires to rely heavily on long-distance trade? Number 2, Ghana and Mali actually did not mine the gold they traded to the Berbers for salt. Explain how they got the gold and what role the two kingdoms played in the gold-salt trade. Number 3, in what way was West Africa's gold important to the entire Mediterranean area trading system between Europe, Africa, and the Middle East? And the last question, many goods were sold in a three-way trade across the Sahara Desert between West Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. A number of these goods were very important to African rulers who wanted to build up the empires of Ghana and Mali. What were some of these goods? Reflect on these questions, answer them in your notes, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me or ask me in class.